Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of Frankly Speaking. It's special because I'm wearing a tie, but also because I am joined by Katelyn from Community Employment Choices here in Strathroy. Welcome to Frank's.
Thank you.
Actually, this is not your first time at Frank's.
Definitely not. I've been here many times before.
Why? Why have you been here?
Yeah, so my role at Community Employment Choices is to work specifically with youth. So I work with youth between the ages of 15 to 29. So naturally, we work with a lot of the same people. So I really like to come into Frank's, get to know some of the youth that are here, and I also meet with clients here from time to time. It's a really good location, central in Strathroy, so our office out on 2nd Street is a bit too far for the youth. It's a little bit closer. Also, they can get free food while they're here.
That's right.
A great little perk.
And that's one thing I love about Dave, that when we got this place, we didn't keep it to ourselves. We called other agencies and said, if you want to use this place, especially during COVID.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I just love that. We're going to talk more about community employment choices in a bit, but I want to talk about the hot topic of youth unemployment. COVID hit. Not just youth, but a lot of people lost their jobs, no fault of their own. They went on EI or COVID relief, which was CERB, I believe.
Yeah, there was a couple different names.
Right, and but eventually those wells dried up, restrictions have lifted, now they need a job again.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from youth is that they're finding a hard time finding a job. And yet at the same time, I'm also hearing that a lot of places are hiring. Everywhere I go, I see we're hiring sign. So where's the disconnect?
Yeah, there's definitely a big disconnect because we hear from employers, they have lots of jobs, they're begging for people, and then we're hearing from youth, I'm applying, I'm dropping off resumes everywhere, but I'm not hearing back. And my role here at CEC is to work specifically with the youth. Our job developer, Michelle, can definitely give a better outlook on the employer standpoint, but just from talking to her, one of the things that I definitely hear is the fact that people don't necessarily understand how big of an investment it is to hire on a new staff. A lot of times I hear from youth, I wish they would just let me take a chance, let me start, see how it goes. But people aren't necessarily understanding how much time and money it takes to hire on a new staff. So especially now, we know that employers are short-staffed. You and I have just spoken about the fact that businesses are having to reduce their hours. They are having to close down because they don't have the staff to fill it. So we know that employers are working more than ever. My goodness, to be a manager right now would not be a good task. You couldn't pay me enough to do that. So what's happening is employers are nervous about hiring someone new on because it's going to cost them thousands of dollars. It's quoted from anywhere between $4,000 to $10,000 to hire on a new staff, which is a lot.
Right.
But for most of these employers, it's not even the money anymore because we offer employers financial incentives for hiring people on, and they still go, I can't hire them on. And you go, oh, well, we're giving you money. Why aren't you wanting them? Because of the time and energy it takes to hire on a new employee. You have to think about all of the training that goes into it, all of the potential problems that can come with a new employee. So these managers are working constantly and they're nervous to hire on new people if they can't be sure that that person's going to come on and just work on their own.
So if I'm a youth looking for a job, trying to raise money for college or support myself, or even if I'm still at home, times are tough, helping the family out, how do I stand out to an employer to let them know I'm not going to quit after 2 weeks, or I'm not going to just not show up to work? How do I stand out to an employer?
Really good question. Have you ever been fishing?
Yes.
You're fishing. Okay. So imagine for a sec, you're told from a friend, hey, there's a pond over here. There's a ton of fish in there. So many, you have a high chance of getting a fish if you go fishing there. If you go to that pond and you just stick your hand in, do you think you're going to catch a fish?
No.
No, probably not. And that's kind of one of the analogies I like to use when we think about the disconnect that's happening here. So what's happening is you need to bring the right materials. You need to bring, all of the right fishing tools. I don't know them all, but Dave does. I know he's a fisher. But job seekers right now need to stand out. They need to prove to the employer that they're going to be able to go in and start the job. Be independent. And one of the things that I find that youth are struggling with a bit is, how do they market themselves to that employer?
Right.
So they're under the impression, well, employers need people. I should just be able to drop off my resume and they should want me. No, you need to be able to sell yourself.
Right.
So again, if we're viewing employment as an investment, if I were to come to you and say, hey, can you give me $10,000? Trust me, it's going to be a good deal. Are you just going to... No, you're not just going to give me $10,000 because it needs to be a good investment.
Right.
So you need to be able to show to that employer why they should be investing in you.
Right.
So think about even just when we first drop off that resume. What are you wearing?
Right.
You know, did you drop it off after school and you're, you know, in sweatpants and your hair's up in a bun? Not a bad look. I rock it all the time, but not for dropping off a resume. So what are you wearing? Are you making eye contact with them? Or are you going up and then, here's my resume?
Right.
Are you asking for the manager when you drop it off? Or are you just, you know, dropping off 50 resumes and then going on your way? It's those first impressions that really make the big deal. Additionally, after that, what's your value? What can you bring to the table? If I'm walking into an employer and I can't tell them why I'd be a good fit for the job, why would they want to hire me?
Exactly.
So you need to be able to say, I would be a great addition to your team because. Thinking about the fact that, what is an employer looking for? If we're thinking something in customer service, you need to be able to rock it with customers. I went into a business the other day here in town, a fast food restaurant. I walked in, I was waiting in line, and the staff member was extremely rude. She was yelling at one of the other staff members. I walked out. I was like, you know what? There's another place right there. I'm just going to go there. I was with my son. I didn't really want him to see that. So employers notice those things. They want someone that's going to be good with their customers. The next thing is, how determined are you? So you mentioned at the very beginning of our interview the fact that, you know, people are not showing up for work and things like that.
Right.
How do we avoid hiring someone that's going to do that? We want to hire people that are really motivated. So I had a client the other day. We had a great conversation. She had dropped off her resume somewhere, didn't hear. Dropped off her resume again, got an interview. Amazing. Thought the interview went well, didn't hear anything. So then a week later, the job posting was still up. So she went, I'm going to apply again. Why not? I'll show them that I really want this job. Well, she ended up getting hired after that.
Nice.
Because that shows that she's going to be motivated. But what a lot of youth will do is they'll drop off one resume and say, oh, clearly didn't want to hire me. So it's really showing that motivation. So you drop off a resume, did you follow up with them?
Right.
Did you follow up with them again? Did you drop off another resume? Did you talk directly to the manager? So those are some of those ways to stand out a little bit.
Awesome. We have a little bit of time. Let's talk about employment, community employment choices.
Yes.
Prior to 2017, I thought this was just a place to get a job, which obviously that's part of it.
Yes.
But when I lost my job, I discovered so much more. First of all, you get a one-on-one counselor. Shout out to Matt, who was my counselor. I cried a river in his office, but
I think we all have.
But he helped me get to where I am today. I also took a number of courses, not only refreshers like resumes and job interviews, but there's new stuff. Like my first job when I found it was in a newspaper ad. Of course, now we can search the internet. We have LinkedIn.
Other options.
Yeah, and so and at the end, I actually earned a business diploma, which didn't help me get a job, but it made me feel good that I did something with my time, right?
Yeah.
Sure. And then I actually had a flip phone, believe it or not, in 2017. And so when job employers wanted to start doing video chats, I wasn't prepared. So Matt set me up in a room with a laptop, and I was able to do job interviews there. What else do you guys provide?
Yeah, so obviously we want to help people get jobs. We want to help employers to find really, really good staff that are going to come in and rock the job. That's kind of our number one. But when we are thinking employment, it is so much beyond just, hey, here's a resume, here's a cover letter, go on your merry way.
Right.
We know that. That's why people aren't getting jobs, if we're just thinking that. There's so much more. It's looking at what is the person going through, how can we connect them to community resources, obviously here being one. If I have a youth that is hungry and isn't eating, how are they going to be looking for work?
Right.
So we want to connect them with someone like somewhere like here. So obviously we have two main streams. So the first is our employment service stream, which is what you would have accessed, which is one-on-one appointments with our advisor. For that, that's anyone between the ages of 15 to 200. So through that, all of your appointments are going to be personalized to your goal. And that's going to be different for anybody. So again, it might just be, we have clients that come in and say, I really just need you to read my resume. Okay, easy peasy. And then we have other people that, you know, maybe through the pandemic, you isolated at home and now you're really afraid on what the next step is. So helping to work through that. We can obviously, like I said, connect to community resources. We really, really value our partnership with our community partners because it is just so much more than employment. Any employment advisor that just looks at the employment side is missing a whole extra piece. Right. Employment should not be your whole world. There's so much more there. And then there's my role. So I work specifically with youth as part of our Youth Job Connection program. So again, I'm with youth between the ages of 15 to 29. We have a high school program and a program for youth outside of high school. And my program is really unique that I have significantly more time with my clients. So I get to start from the ground and work my way up. Our two programs, one is 2 weeks in length, the next is a full month. And we get to work on all of the things mentioned above, including budgeting, communication. How do you communicate with an employer? How do you handshake? How do you make eye contact? It's always really fun to work with a youth who really is uncomfortable with eye contact. It's a horrible exercise, but they benefit from it. Right. I love it. It's funny. But all of those little details. So what is keeping them from work and how can we help them? So we also have, I wanted to make sure to mention while I was on here, we have our next high school program starting on Monday. So it runs from October 17th till the 28th. So 2 weeks after school from 4 till 6 p.m. It's hosted through Zoom, so they don't have to come into our office, which has been one of the greatest parts of the pandemic is learning to adapt to that virtual world. So we have a lot more youth coming into our office from various areas of Middlesex County that maybe wouldn't have been able to come before.
Right.
So we're thinking like Dorchester, Lucan, Chippewa, things like that, place where transportation is an issue. Now we can offer virtual services.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been another episode of Frankly Speaking. We'll see you next time.